Hey Cool Cats, today we're discussing 5 great warriors to fill out your party. Let's go! So we're going to jump right into it with the first warrior, Champion of Lamholt. It costs 1 and 2 grain for a human warrior 1/1. Creatures with power less than Champion of Lamholt's power can't block creatures you control. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Champion of Lamholt. So this is just a really good card to pump up the champion. Make sure if you're swinging, your creatures will hopefully not be blocked. And if you're playing a party deck, you will be having creatures on the battlefield. So this is a great card. It's a great warrior to fill out that niche role in your party. And it's going to make sure it gets pumped up, it's going to be strong, and it's going to make sure your creatures can swing through unblocked so they don't get killed. Great warrior. The next warrior was just printed in M21 with Radha, Heart of Keld. She costs 1, a red and a green for a 3/3 elf warrior. She has first strike when it's your turn. You can look at the top card of your library anytime, and you can play lands from the top of your library, and you can pay 4 and a green and a red to give Radha +X until end of turn, where X is the number of lands you control. So she has a lot going on for 3 mana. I have played this card, and that ability to play lands from the top of your library is so good because it gets the lands off into play where you need them, and it lets you to draw into other things that aren't lands. So it just really is great to smooth out those draws and let you keep applying pressure, because that's what creature decks need to be doing. And it's not on a small little green creature. It's on a 3/3 with first strike when it's your turn. So it's a really good card. It's a great warrior. I think it's going to do a lot of work for your party. Next we have Ogre Battle Driver. He costs 2 and 2 red for a 3/3 Ogre Warrior. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, that creature gets +2/+0 and haste until end of turn. This is a great creature to speed up that aggression. When you have your creatures come into play and attack the same turn, your opponents can't really plan for that. And he gives them 2/0. So just to make sure when you are swinging in with these hasty creatures, these creatures your opponents were not prepared for, they're even stronger than they normally are. So this is a great warrior if you plan on putting creatures into play and swinging with them, which I think most party decks will be doing. Then we get to Marisi, Breaker of the Coil. He costs 1 and red, green, white for a cat warrior. That's 5/4. He says your opponents can't cast spells during combat. That's any combat. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, goad each creature that player controls. That is a really strong ability. I've had this card as a general, as a commander, since it came out. Hasn't been taken apart yet. That's kind of long for me. This is a great card. I love this card. It's a great warrior. It's got a lot going on. It costs 4 for a 5/4, so very good cost on the stats for this card. And it just does so much to mess up your opponent's game plan. The not casting spells during combat, you do got to remember that, because sometimes I've forgotten about that and it's messed stuff up. But if you can remember that, that's really good to throw off your opponent's plans. And then goading all their creatures is so good. So when you're got Marisi leading the party, swinging with your rogue, your unblockable rogue, or your flying rogue, or flying wizard, however it may be, hit the opponent, and then you can goad all their creatures. They're not swinging into you, they're swinging into someone else. This is a great warrior. And finally, our last and most expensive by a long shot warrior, the Butcher of Malakir, costs 5 and 2 black, total 7 for a vampire warrior. He's 5/4 with flying. And whenever Butcher of Malakir or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. So this card's been printed into Oblivion. It costs like 1 cent or whatever. It is a 5/4. Not that great stats for the cost of 7. And it's similar to a Grave Pact or a Dictate of Erebos. But the thing is, this is on a creature. So you can do a lot of things to abuse creatures that you can't do to sneak enchantments into play. So you can have this go to the graveyard and bring it back really quick with a reanimate, something like that, to get this Butcher into play. It's such a strong effect. When it works, it can be backbreaking. And when you have a full party and this is your warrior, any of your other creatures dying are going to mean your opponent's creatures are also dying. So it costs a lot. It's a lot to invest in, but it's worth it because it can slow down your opponent so much if they try to mess with your stuff. It's a great card. It's a great creature. We've seen 5 great warriors today. We're going to look at the other ones. Next will be rogues, and we're going to get into it. I hope you join me because I will see you in the future.